Welcome to the Construction Disruption Podcast, where we uncover the future of design, building, and remodeling.
I'm Todd Miller of Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing. Today, I am joined by Isaiah Industries Vice President of Sales, Seth Heckman. Seth, what good has happened to you this week? I'm just curious.
Oh, lots of good stuff. It's been a good week here. So been on the road. We've had some other guys on the road this week out there seeing contractors and distributors across the country, having some good conversations. Something a little more unique for us selling permanent metal roofing, had a repeat customer come back this week. So job wasn't hailed out, nothing like that. They just built a pool house. So 10 years later, you get to work with them again and help get them another beautiful solution. So it's fun to reconnect with folks.
That is fantastic. I've had something kind of interesting going on the last few hours, actually. So we'd gotten contacted by a homeowner out of Los Angeles, and he doesn't know I know this, but he's really kind of a big deal. I could name a couple of companies that he's been head of, entertainment companies he's been head of that would be household names. He doesn't realize I realize that's who he is. But anyway, which is all cool. But he's building a casita or ADU, I think, on his property, which is kind of a big thing out there. But kind of interesting. So we quoted standing seam to him, and normally we never really thought of ourselves as being competitive on shipping standing seam to the West Coast. But interestingly, he came back and actually sent me the competitive bid he had, and we actually blew them out of the water. So I'm kind of excited about see what kind of opportunities. Maybe we've got more potential with standing seam on the West Coast than I would have ever dreamed. But very interesting. Well, shall we get this thing going here, Seth?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to have a good conversation today.
So as we continue to bring guests who we think are going to be of particular interest to those in the home improvement and home services spaces, today we're talking with none other than Tony Hoty. Tony is founder and chief visionary for Window Expo and Bath Expo, based in Northeast Ohio, fellow Buckeye. Tony is also the CEO of Tony Hoty Training and Consulting. He works with home improvement contractors across the country, helping them with such things as lead generation and conversion, as well as recruiting and retaining top team members. Tony is also the creative genius behind the LeadCon conference, which connects remodeling contractors and helps to bring them cutting-edge strategies for lead gen and sales. But Tony is just, especially in recent years, become a very widely sought-after speaker and trainer in the home improvement industry. Tony, welcome to Construction Disruption. Truly an honor to have you with us today as we dig into some great topics to benefit our listeners.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Well, we're pleased to have you. Thank you. So we want to dig into some actionable information for our audience, but kind of first, can you give us kind of a quick overview of how you came to be in the home improvement industry and maybe what you like about it?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. As you mentioned, I went to Ohio State, the Ohio State University, and while I was there, I got a part-time job that was supposed to be for beer money, and it turned out I was going door to door around job sites, home improvement projects, replacement windows, siding, roofing, doors, that type of thing. And it turned out to be something that I really enjoyed. I liked the pace of it. I'm very extroverted. At the time in my life of a college student, a lot more high energy than I am today. So it was a great fit for me, and really enjoyed it, and continued to work with that company in a variety of different roles, not just going door to door around job sites, but working at home shows and events, and working in the call center when the weather wasn't so great, even working in some retail stores like Builders Square and HQ, which for the younger listeners, that's Home Depot and Lowe's these days.
Very cool story. That's neat how, started out as a college job and just kept with the same company and, stayed in the industry then. And we've been blessed by a number of team members, Mr. Heckman included, who worked with us throughout college and then came on board afterward, and just been blessed to have him a lot of years. Well, I'm kind of curious, and as you were getting started in home improvement, who were some of those mentors or influencers, or did you have any that you really paid attention to, or maybe you just had to figure it all out on your own?
No, I had a ton of great mentors, starting from the business owners that I worked with, that Brian Leader and Seth Heckman, and there in Columbus, to a number of people you wouldn't know, coworkers that I worked side by side with that just kind of held my hand as I was learning different roles in the business, particularly on the in-home sales side of things. I had a number of people that I rode along with and shadowed and was coached by that were very impactful. And then even had a relationship with Rick Grosso at an early age when I was about 19, 20 years old. First started out in home selling. I got some exposure to Rick's methodology, which was very helpful. So ton of great mentors and coaches along the way, for sure. That's been a big part of my path.
Cool stuff. And you always hear that from every successful person. Great to give a shout out to those who helped us along the way. That's for sure. So you have done something pretty extraordinary, I think, here recently at Window Expo, where you have developed a 24/7 showroom. And I just think that's incredible. Tell us a little bit about how that works, the need you saw, and how that's working.
Yeah, so that's an initiative that I'm super excited about because it allows me to innovate within the home remodeling industry. And we first were experimenting just as a team, talking and asking those what if questions. How could we be open 24 hours so that we can be at the top of Google Maps around the clock? So many of our competitors are not actually open after 5 p.m. or 8 p.m. And, there's an opportunity there. And if we truly are open, we would catapult ourselves to the top of Google Maps. And so that was the primary motivation initially. And as we talked about all the different possibilities that we like to do, from security guards to, actually having an employee on site to using surveillance and giving electronic access to the showroom. So we eventually workshopped it until we arrived at a pretty neat methodology for allowing people. We've actually got a patent pending on this now, where you can send a text message and request an access code to enter the building. And once you get inside, you get to take a museum-style self-guided tour where there are audio playback units. I actually have one of them right here. It's a little button that you push that will play a description of the product itself, which is pretty cool. And then there are QR codes where people can scan those to watch videos, get a digital brochure, and learn more about the products. And this allows people to move at their own pace without the fear or obligation associated with having a salesperson escorting them or chaperoning them around. And there are a number of people that prefer to shop that way. I think as time goes on, we live in that Uber, Amazon era where everything is on demand and everything is self-checkout and so forth. So, we kind of try to incorporate all of that, and it's going very, very well.
That's awesome. And so I'll just tell a little bit of a story. I happened to be in Cleveland the day that I saw you post on LinkedIn and Facebook that the showroom was open, and I had some time that afternoon and swung by, but it was beautiful. Obviously knew it was going to be a gorgeous showroom, but a couple of things struck me that I just want to shout out for you. That your team was incredibly friendly, obviously, and greeted me, but they were just as excited as you are about this showroom. So, and which now hearing the story that it was all of you around the table and just that great leadership of bringing them into the conversation, I'm sure that had a significant impact on it. And then I, of course, explained who I was, friend of Tony. We've been at LeadCon and known you, and et cetera. It would have been so easy for them just to, I even said, "Can I poke around just a little bit, and then I'll get out of your hair?" But it would have been easy for them just to ignore that I was there and go back to what they were doing. But they still followed me around. They wanted to show. They showed and tell the whole thing, make sure I had everything that I needed. So you got a great culture going on there, and it's fun, and the energy that cool new initiatives like this infuses and gets everyone excited about. So it's really awesome.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks for stopping by. I mean, we're so grateful to have, people like you in the industry come check us out. And, and thanks for noticing, that our team is, got that culture, and the buy-in is huge in any new initiative, right? Just in what you do on a daily basis, as well as anything new that you do. You got to have, it's got to be everybody's idea.
Yeah, that's absolutely very cool.
Well, revolutionary stuff. And so let's talk a little bit about the consulting and training that you do for other contractors. I know in the intro I mentioned a few things I think you delve into, but what are some of the areas that you help other contractors with?
So mainly we help people with the front end of the business, which is lead generation and sales. My background is in everything from going door to door, working at those home shows and events, retail stores, as I mentioned, and person to person in the call center, resurrecting old dormant inquiries, calling past customers, rehashing former demos that didn't sell. And then, of course, I have got some great partners with me in the business, people like Phil Wiley and TJ Parsons that help us on the sales side of things, whereas Megan Beatty and Chris Williamson and Hannah Delosier, they help more with the lead generation side of things. So it's about generating leads and converting leads. That's mainly what we help our clients with, because that's what ultimately helps them grow.
I'm glad you gave a shout out to some of your particular consultants there too. And of course, we've worked a little bit with Megan, and you just have an incredible stable of folks you put together there. So I'm kind of curious, as you enter into a relationship with a contractor, and maybe you are focusing on lead generation, is there any common mistake that you're seeing contractors make in regards to lead gen?
Oh man, where do I start? Honestly, I think it's a lack of, in some cases, investment, in some cases, intensity in any specific area, right? It could be something like as simple as the yard sign, right? A lot of folks have a very basic, simple yard sign, and they focus on the cost. How can I get the most cost-effective yard sign? Buy it in bulk. And then what ends up happening is you end up looking just like all of your competitors, and it's not anything that stands out. It's not anything that disrupts, if that ties in with our podcast here. It's just kind of blends in with the landscape and, really gets overlooked. And, we do things differently on all levels. When it comes to yard sign, it's, 6 feet tall and 3 feet wide. And, we make it look like a house, or we make it, put a roof on top of it, cut a window into it, whatever we have to do to disrupt and engage people. But we're going to do it first class. We're going to go all the way with it. And the same is true, when it comes with other things in marketing and lead generation. We're going to get good people. We're going to do background checks, and we're going to do reference checks, and we're going to go slow, and slow usually equals fast, right? So we're going to train, we're going to invest in the individuals, and so whether you're investing in something like a material, like a yard sign, or whether you're investing in a door-to-door canvasser or a trade show person, or whether you're investing in a showroom, right? Showroom's a perfect example. Most remodeling contractors don't have one. They don't have one at all. What we've seen is it's vitally important and instrumental to growth, so much so that we want to have ours open 24 hours a day, and we want to have one on every corner. We just know that it is absolutely fundamental to trust, which is what sales and marketing is all about.
We had a contractor who used to do a yard sign that for roofing that was about the size you were mentioning, had a big pair of eyeballs on it and a big arrow pointing up to the roof saying, "Look, it's a metal roof." And man, I'll tell you, people would just drive around and look for those. And so, that was a great way of differentiating for them. I'm kind of curious, when you talked about differentiation, uh, do you end up going through sort of a brainstorming process to help companies figure out, what their differentiation points can be? I mean, I don't know that it would necessarily just be being creative. Sometimes it's finding out what is truly unique about their ethos and making that their positive differentiator. Can you talk a little bit about that?
You're right on the money there, Todd. I mean, you have to celebrate what's unique about you, and it starts with authenticity, and really honing in on that, and going deep, not wide, right? Really just taking something that's great about it, could be one thing, and really trying to bring that to the forefront in your marketing, make people aware of it. I think it's so crucial to developing an identity, as a business, and having consumers look specifically for you, developing trust with customers. There are a number of things that it could be within your business. For us, we focus on three things in my retail business, and that's selection. Not a lot of people offer selection. A lot of them are married to one particular brand or manufacturer, but we offer selection. That's part of our core. Savings is a big one. We try to offer significant value by giving people, because we buy things in volume, and because we're part of some national networks, and we're able to get things at discounts, we try to pass that savings on. And then the last thing is service. We focus big time on review scores and satisfaction scores, and that type of thing. So we've identified those three things as part of our value proposition, and we try to celebrate that throughout all of our marketing.
How many 5-star reviews are you guys up to now?
I should have checked today, but we're about 780 on the window side of the business. We've got about 285 on the bath side of the business, on Google, of course. And then we have lots and lots on Facebook, Yelp, the Better Business Bureau, Angie's List. So literally thousands. And we average 5 stars, which is what our goal is.
I remember when I first got to know you a few years ago, canvassing and event marketing were two of the big things you would talk about. Are those still effective for lead generation today? Any changes going on there?
They are still effective today. Like anything else, stuff gets more challenging and sometimes more costly, right? In door to door, for example, it might be, the advent of the Ring doorbell, which can potentially reduce contact rate, right? So there are always new challenges and different things, but the event marketing and canvassing definitely still work. Have lots and lots of clients we work with all over the country doing it well. And one of the most unsung aspects of learning to generate your own leads that way is you learn to value a lead. And when you make it or manufacture it yourself, you learn to handle it properly. You learn to squeeze every drop out of that lemon, and every aspect of how you handle it on the confirmation call and the approach, nurturing, cultivation, resurrecting it if it falls off the schedule. It really creates some disciplines that are phenomenal to carry into other forms of lead generation. So if somebody calls you and it's an inbound lead, you're just going to get even better results with those types of leads because of the disciplines that you acquired while learning to generate your own. And that's something I think is really important, especially when you see dips, peaks, and valleys in lead generation. Market demand goes up and down. We saw obviously with COVID, that was a glaring example of that, from the fish jumping in the boat to inquiries just falling off the vine, and really a shift in how we need to generate leads.
Well, that leads right into what, we wanted to talk about too. Right now in 2025, you can't talk about lead generation without mentioning that a lot of folks are lamenting leads and lead volume and lead quality right now. Would love to hear your perspective. Or is it reverting to the norm? Are there other new factors out there that you think are, influencing things? Obviously, there's lasting changes I'm sure you've identified in your business, and so would love to hear all of that and what you're forecasting, moving forward. What's going to be important to generate the leads that we need?
Yeah, so I definitely think market demand just went back to normal. I don't think it was anything really out of the ordinary from that standpoint. But then when you couple that with the ever changing landscape of technology, for example, the algorithms just constantly changing when it comes to digital marketing, SEO, PPC. When you couple the two of those things together, those factors, you really see it. You really notice it. This AI component with how people are searching on ChatGPT versus going to Google is huge. That's something that is another component that has to be factored into the equation on why today isn't quite like yesterday, and why we need to always stay on top of things and keep sharpening the axe at all times.
Yeah, it goes back to that discipline you talked about. And I think, some of those day in and day out sort of practices and disciplines like quality service that leads to good reviews and producing content, it's not the immediate light switch that maybe SEM has been in the past, where we can just throw money at it. But, with these, Chat GPT and others, it's going to be really critical, married with what you talked about previously of being able to make your own today to make sure you can eat today, though, too. So it's powerful stuff. But before we move on from that, I did want to, we talked about canvassing and event marketing. Something I've seen a lot of content from you about has been these, showrooms at retail centers, Sam's Clubs, Walmarts, and, some of these other making your own events, if you will. And I think there's a perception out there that you have to be one of these couple hundred million dollar behemoths to make that work in your business. And you guys are doing really well, but showing that you can make that work at any scale. You tell us a little bit about how that plays in your business, and what are some key principles of making that work?
Yeah, so we have a motto: there's no room like showroom. And that starts with the fact that it just instills trust, right? And so in some of these retail stores like Walmart, like Meijer grocery store, or Sam's Club, or those types of situations, even your little Ace Hardware type scenarios, you can establish a kiosk, whether it be permanent or temporary, and really insert yourself into the flow of traffic so that you have a home show 365 days a year without the presence of your competitors. So that's a very, very attractive scenario. And, we certainly exploit that every way we possibly can. And again, when the opportunity presents itself, we invest. We make beautiful showrooms. We make eye-catching displays. We're not just, wheeling home show stuff that, we had in the closet that, let's go make this work. You can always get leads out of, without the greatest displays or without the greatest, resources to back you up. However, you'll get even more, and you'll get better brand, recognition if you do it right. So we're big fans of those retail scenarios. They help in such a number of ways. Really, seasonality. People shop so frequently around the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and returning things after the new year. And that's a time when the phone really doesn't ring in the home remodeling industry. And so incredible supplementation of lead flow during that time. So we're big fans. The other thing that happens is many companies recruit and train in-field marketers to work their live shows, fairs, festivals all summer long. And then those fall off the calendar. And, what do you do with those great people that you invested in, that you trained, if you don't have any place to put them, they're going to fall off of your roster. And so having a retail store or two in the marketing mix can have a big impact on the big picture.
Well, now I'm kind of embarrassed, though, as you were talking about displays, because yesterday Seth and I were kicking around what to do for a couple of upcoming shows we're going to. And I'm like, oh, let's just get that display we used a couple of years ago. We still have that, don't we? Okay, we may have to go back to the drawing board on that one. So
Great lessons, though. I never would have thought about those winter benefits of leads and team members. That's huge. That's very cool. Curious, as you're on the consulting side, as you're working with wide range of scales of companies, all across the spectrum. I follow you, see who you're in and serving. Do you see key challenges right now for these companies at these different sizes and scales? Are there some key thresholds at that $2 to $3 million mark to get to 5 to 6 and 5 to 6 to get to 10 to 12? What are some of those lessons you've learned over the years?
Absolutely, yes. So early on in the $1 million to $2 million range, it is survival mode. It's make a lead, make a sale, make a lead, make a sale, and just do enough to generate some profit and keep the wheels spinning, right? And then when you get beyond that, when you're fortunate enough to make the leap to the next realm, it's really more about make a marketer, make a salesperson, right? Make a marketer, make a salesperson, because you have to replicate your program, right? You have to take what has been working for you. If it's an event marketer, you have to make 2 or 3 or 4. If it's a salesperson, you have to make 2 or 3 or 4. And so you go from being a lead generation and sales organization to a recruiting organization, right? And then when you get beyond that, the next level becomes becoming a training organization. And the reason I say that is because at some point you will arrive at a scenario where there are not enough good people who have the experience that you need within your available marketplace to where you're going to have to create them yourself. You're going to have to go out and get people who have the character but do not have the skills. And you're going to have, whether those are installers that you're training in your warehouse at your training facility, or whether they are salespeople or door-to-door canvassers or event marketers, you're going to have to be able to replicate them on a mass scale if you're going to take that final leap and really grow.
And I think most of us underestimate probably what that training needs to look like, and especially on the marketing side. Sometimes those teams, I think, get the least amount of attention in the organization. What do those cadences and systems look like in Window Expo?
Yeah, so we are very serious about that sort of thing. We have what we call simulators, where we are training in real world scenarios. It's not just classroom training or the brief onboarding that you get with here's the bathroom, here's where here's how you operate the CRM, here's a page with our company core values, here's our script, try to memorize this. That's not it at all. You have to make that transformation from having meetings to having practice. Right? It's not just a sales meeting where we're talking about product updates, we're talking about pricing, we're talking about problem jobs. It's a sales meeting where we put all that stuff aside and we get in the simulator and we role play real world transactions over and over again until we get it right. And that's what it looks like at Window Expo and Bath Expo, whether you're a door-to-door canvasser, retail store marketer, salesperson, you answer the phones. It's constantly practicing the craft, and we don't practice on our customers. We practice in the simulator.
Is that practice and just sticking with the system the key difference you see between a salesperson, say, closing 15% and the guy closing 30 or 35%?
Oh, there's no question that's a huge factor. There's a number of things you can do today to take yourself from an abysmal 10%, where you're probably just, winging it and bidding jobs and hoping people call you back, to someone who follows a process with discipline, to someone who then really listens to their own recordings, looks at the analytics to say, wow, me compared to other sales reps, here's where they're winning and where I'm not winning, and how can I improve in that area. And so identifying key areas for improvement, that's big. And then, of course, when you identify them, then practicing it, not just talking about it, not just identifying it, but then rehearsing and drilling and doing it over and over again until you actually make improvement.
Makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, out of your clients you've had with your consulting and training side of things, any particular favorite success story come to mind? Someone that, you saw someone make some changes and really make some dramatic, have some dramatic results in their organization?
There are a ton. There really are a ton of success stories where people started a new initiative, they never had a door-to-door canvassing program before, or they never had an event marketing program before, or perhaps they were a two-call close, or a company that really just was bidding projects. They didn't have a sales process designed to convert, and we helped implement that for them. If I had to pick one, there's one that stands out to me, and that's Clemens Home Solutions in Muncie, Indiana. They were a small organization that was led by someone with a background in construction, a phenomenal background in construction. However, little to no background in lead generation or sales. And over the years, we've been able to help them take a transition from fielding leads inbound, repeat, referral, Google leads and digital leads that would fall in their lap. And we've been able to help them make a transition to going door to door around job sites, going back to see past customers with gift baskets and getting additional repeat business opportunities. We've helped them get into shows and events, and we've helped them build a call center. And this is an organization that has added millions and millions of dollars to their top line and quite a bit to the bottom line as well. So that one really stands out.
They've built a sought-after organization. I've been in that lobby cold calling them. So if you can make an introduction, that'd be great.
I'm kind of curious, as we look at the industry as it stands right now, and, the only thing that keeps expanding faster and faster is the speed of change. Are there any major shifts or changes that you're seeing happening, or things that you think indicate they're going to happen in our industry that contractors need to really stay on top of right now in order to be prepared for the future?
I definitely think AI is a big thing, and you're talking to someone that went door to door their entire life. So the most rudimentary way of approaching things. But in the way I mean it is for enhancement. I really believe AI should be used for enhancement, to enhance what you're doing. I think, if you have a question as a business person, if you're writing a new compensation plan, if you're writing a marketing plan, if you're writing an ad, I think you should always run it through ChatGPT and see what comes back, to see if there's anything you missed. I think that is a habit you need to build. And I think that we know that our consumers are going to start doing the same thing. If we as business people are using it on a daily basis, consumers will slowly but surely follow, as business owners and business leaders bring that into their homes, and that just trickles out throughout communities, right? So they're going to start to search that way, and we have to figure out how to feed those algorithms, the new AI algorithms. What do they want? And I believe what they want is authenticity. They want companies with real reviews. They want companies with brick and mortar locations. They want companies that really are what people are searching for. It's going to be harder and harder to gamify, the algorithms. So I think there will be a return, in a sense, to being authentic in that way.
Very cool. Good answer. Well, if you were starting a home improvement company today, what are the top 3 things you would focus on right out of the gate in your company, saying, I got to get these 3 things right to start with?
So, a great question. I think you have to understand that your reputation is paramount. So, reviews and reputation is right up there in that top list of three. I think great people are going to be what help you maintain that reputation and help you get those reviews. Great installers, great people answering the phone, great salespeople. So I think that's huge, and I would really focus also on AI. I think is important. I think it's a minor component. I don't know if I'd put it in my top three. I think I would focus more on having the right model, identifying what your model is, your blueprint for how you're going to do things. There are a lot of great things out there. EOS really comes to mind. Entrepreneur's Operating System. The book Traction outlines that very, very well. I think having that blueprint to follow with a great vision for your business, core values for your team, and accountability for everybody involved.
Tell us a little bit. I know you threw out some names earlier about some of your consultants that work for you, and I know that it's a great team. Can you kind of give us an overview of some of those and what their specialties are as far as how they work with your clients?
Yes. So Megan Beatty is the most senior person on my team. She and I have a long, long history together. We have generated leads together in every capacity. I was a mentor to her and a trainer to her many, many years ago, and she's really blossomed, and I'm proud to have her as a partner on my team. She specializes in she can do anything in this business, but she's most well known for call center fielding calls properly, scheduling. Really very adept in resurrecting old leads. Rehashing and just getting your call center on point. She can help in so many aspects. She's very dynamic, but that's certainly what she's known for. Chris Williamson really deals more with the canvassing door-to-door around job sites, training people, helping them build door-to-door programs. Also helps with the brand ambassador program, because those two things go hand in hand. Delivering gift baskets to our past customers, generating repeat business, generating referral business while we're there, and then getting out and knocking on some doors and getting that low-hanging fruit that you might overlook if you didn't take the time to do that. And then, Hannah works on site with people, leading by example at shows and events, which is critical. A lot of times people need to see it. This is one of those industries where it's like, don't tell me, show me. And so she's great at that, and really showing people how to set up and how to, generate leads face to face at live events, retail stores. And then Phil and TJ really help with the conversion aspect of it. Just the sales process, what a great process looks like, and what training people on that process so that you can get a predictable and repeatable result.
One of the things as I look at your organization and you talk about all those great folks, a lot of consultants out there in our industry, it's basically them. And, a lot of it is, them wanting to spread their own name, make their own name. And it's obvious that you work from a point of humility, Tony, and a point of, hey, I'm here to help our clients. And you have assembled a great team to do that. So kudos to you, because you're doing it different than a lot of the other folks are out there. And I love it.
Well, thanks for saying.
Well, I'm kind of curious. Can you give us a quick overview of what it looks like when you bring on a new client? What does that onboarding, that initial process look like?
So initially, it's about discovery. It's about finding out, what challenges they're experiencing and what they think should be done about it. And during that discovery, sometimes we find out that someone who thinks they have a lead problem doesn't really have a lead problem. That they have a systems problem, and they have a people problem. And as we start to dig, because I think it's human nature to want to trim leaves and kind of handle things on a superficial level. We really like to get down to the root and work on foundational things so that we can leave you better off than we found you. And sometimes that's eye opening. But discovery is the first step in working with clients to see, where can we really help them. And after we've got a plan together on where we're going to focus, we really like to dig right in. We do things like secret shopping, right? We'll call and record your calls, and we'll listen to them, and we'll analyze them, and we'll see where there's opportunities for growth, right? We'll listen to AI recordings of your sales process in the home, and we have. If you don't have that technology, we can loan it to you for the purpose of discovery, right? So there's a lot of that because if you go to the doctor and they don't do a thorough analysis, right, they could prescribe the wrong medication, the wrong treatment, and so we try to be very thorough.
Good stuff. Well, this has been a great conversation, a wealth of information we've shared here today. Is there anything that you haven't yet covered that you wanted to be sure to share with our audience?
Oh man, how much time do we have?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot today, and I appreciate the opportunity to share, and the great questions and great conversation.
Well, it has been good. Well, been a very valuable time together, and we're going to get you to share your information here in a little bit. But first, I want to ask you if you're willing to participate in something we call rapid fire questions. So these are 5 questions. You have no idea what these questions are going to be. Some are serious, some are silly. Are you up to the challenge of rapid fire, Tony?
Absolutely.
It's a fun part of it. Seth, I'll let you ask the first one.
All right, here we go. First rapid fire question. What is a recent product or service you've purchased that was a game changer for you?
I would say the upgraded version of ChatGPT.
I was going to guess that was what was coming.
Yeah, I wish it was more unique, but that's the truth.
Good answer. So you do a lot of speaking, a lot of training. Do you have a go-to hype song that you run through your mind before you start to speak or something?
It's there are a few. There's some videos out there. I don't know if you know Dr. Eric Thomas. He's a motivational speaker, one of the top motivational speakers in the world, and he actually has some music specifically geared towards getting pumped up for motivational speaking and that type of thing. So he has some stuff that I really like. You can find it on YouTube.
I was guessing like Beyonce or something. I didn't expect Dr. Eric Thomas.
Right?
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. All right. Question number 3. What is the best business advice you've received in one sentence?
Oh man,
That's a hard one.
That is a difficult one. Honestly, I have to say that it's to constant, never-ending improvement. Because we all want lightning in a bottle, right? We all want something simple and whatever, but it isn't. It's the ongoing kaizen. The constant, never-ending, daily, discipline of learning, reading, networking, and that's really what it's all about.
Good answer. So I may know what this is. We just, before we started the show, we talked about your recent trip to Greece. Anyway, what is your favorite meal?
A good Greek meal is definitely at the very top of the list. There's something called pastitsio. I don't know if our audience is all that familiar with it. It's basically the Greeks' version of lasagna. However, instead of having a red tomato sauce, it has a bechamel sauce, which is more like an Alfredo sauce, creamier sauce. It's a layered pasta dish that is phenomenal and gets me into trouble quick.
Well, Seth and I, when we're out traveling together, we got to do a road trip sometime, man. We haven't done one in a little while, but we often find ourselves gravitating toward Greek restaurants. So I got to check out the pastitsio?
It's pastitsio.
Pastitsio. Okay. Got it down.
Very cool. Last rapid fire question. Would you rather install 20 windows in one day by yourself or explain triple panes and low E's to a confused homeowner for 3 hours nonstop.
Oh, God. I have tried to help our installers from time to time when somebody called off, or lending a helping hand from time to time when I've stopped out at job sites. And, that is not my calling. So as much as the latter is painful, trying to explain low E and argon to a homeowner, I'd have to take that one because it's my job to articulate, and shame on me if I can't.
Good answer. Well, Tony, thank you so much. You are making a difference out there, and thank you so much for being a great part of our great industry. So for those who want to learn more about your consulting and training and coaching, what's the best way for them to do that? We will put this in the show notes also, but how can they get in contact with you?
So we have a website. It's the most egotistical website there is. It's my full name, Tony, Tony, Hoty.com, right? At the time when I first started the consulting and training, it was just me. And so, we've built that brand. We've got 10 years before I had anyone join me. So, but yeah, you can find me at TonyHoty.com. And that's the best place to learn more about us and our team, and reach out that way.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us today. This has been a real pleasure. And I will thank our audience for tuning into this very special episode of Construction Disruption with industry expert, trainer, and consultant, Mr. Tony Hoty. Please watch for future episodes of our podcast. We always have great guests. Don't forget to leave a review or thumbs up, whatever you do. But keep on challenging, keep on looking for better ways of doing things. And most importantly, don't forget to have a positive impact on everyone you encounter. Make them smile. Leave them with a little bit of encouragement. Such simple yet powerful things we can all do to make the world a better place. So God bless and take care. This is Isaiah Industries signing off until the next episode of Construction Disruption.
This podcast is produced by Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing and other building products.